A drug is discovered that stops all effects of aging. You decide to not take it. 20 years pass and the side effects are discovered. Arkham Pharmaceuticals presents Eternity. Eternity is the end of aging. With just one dose, all aging ceases. It is 100% safe and effective. Government subsidies allow us to distribute Eternity for very little cost, a sort of long-term investment. A new era is dawning, the end of death is here. Ask your doctor about Eternity. I saw the ads like everyone else. I humored taking the wonder drug briefly, but decided against it. Life had been hard, and growing old was a convenient way to let it end. Maybe something waited after death, and maybe it didn't. All I knew was that I did not want to be here forever. So I didn't take a dose of the stuff, despite what almost everyone around me said I should do. In a way, that acceptance of death spared me. The years went by. Long-term plans were put in order, because their initiators would actually live to see the fruits of their labor. Wars and violence slackened, but neither were entirely abolished. Technological development continued to accelerate. On more than one occasion, I was tempted, but I had enough resolve to not give in. Then the horror began. About 20 years after the first humans took Eternity, something was clearly wrong. I am not quite sure when the side effects manifested, only that it had been suppressed, and that it was well underway by the time the general public was aware. Bodies were found, most of their organs intact, but all of their flesh missing. Footage of one victim was leaked. I watched in horror as every bit of skin and tissue sloughed off a person, and slithered away like a massive amoeba. There was panic, especially when the cause was realized. The pharmaceutical company had been cagey on how exactly Eternity worked. I am not sure if even the people who made it understood what they had unleashed. There was absolute chaos, as the vast majority of the world's population realized their lives would soon come to an end. So much went up in smoke in those few years. But greater horror was yet to come. The flesh masses did not seem to be intelligent, but their behavior was hard to predict. Sometimes, they would undergo mass cell death. Other times they would split, or even grow after receiving access to nutrients. Pets began to vanish, and most of the animated flesh was unaccounted for. Roughly 6% of the population survived, mostly children and young adults who would have still gained physical or mental prowess by aging more. But even the people who had not been dosed began to go missing, bones and all. Things raided the periphery. There was video evidence of flesh piles working together and forming plans. People intent on helping to solve the mystery went into the slums and abandoned parts of the world, never to return. It was 30 years after the introduction of Eternity that contact was made. A massive flesh pile, the remains of tens of millions of people fed by countless smaller piles, announced itself to the world. It did not speak, but it was able to type on a keyboard. You all will be absorbed. There is wonder and beauty in what you will become. Do not resist. Organized swarms of flesh piles began to raid cities, stealing any biomass they could reach. As I write this, the offensive is growing. There are weapons, but a flesh pile is a decentralized thing that is hard to kill with bullets, or even a flamethrower. Suicide remains an option. Many have opted to die and dissolve themselves in acid, rather than fight the swarm. I do not think there is hope, but something deep in myself says I must keep going. My mind says it is over, but my heart refuses to agree.